evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader on 6. I'm Jim Fuller. In tonight's news, the Smokehouse restaurant burns to the ground after 61 years in business. Governor Lee removed the right for municipalities to require masks, and John Gray speaks with Tullahoma's new senior planner in the Community Development Department. We'll have all those stories and more on tonight's News Leader on 6.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
I can think of this wonderful little woman that I had. She said, I can't talk. There's nothing there. And she said, I want my voice back. After the first session, she was loud. I'll never forget this. She said, there's a voice in me still. Whether it's Parkinson's or a stroke or whatever, they are not at the bottom, but they can always get better.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
What does caring look like? This is what caring looks like.
This is setting an example for others.
This is rising to the challenge.
This is doing what works.
This is doing my part.
This is doing your part.
Each of us individually.
Acting as one.
Keeping your distance, no matter how awkward it may seem.
This is wearing a mask.
Over your nose and mouth.
Like we are.
Keeping our distance.
Each wearing masks.
Not under your chin.
Not above your head.
Not in your hand, but over your nose and mouth.
This is listening to the expert. If you'll just
wear one of these.
Caring makes community.
And this is what caring looks like.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Welcome back. Since 1960, that's 61 years, Jim Oliver's Smokehouse has been in business, and on Tuesday afternoon it took 45 minutes for the physical building to be gone. It took crews from multiple fire departments, including Monteagle, Winchester, Cowan, South Pittsburgh, Deckard Fire and Rescue, and Tracy City to battle the blaze, but it wasn't enough to stop the inferno. Grundy County Emergency Management Agency, Suwannee Police Department, and Sequatchie Valley Electric Cooperative also had personnel on site. Emergency crews successfully evacuated the cabins and the restaurant and closed down the road directly surrounding the area. On the Smokehouse Facebook page, J.D. Oliver made this post on Wednesday, quote, family and friends of the Smokehouse, thank you so much for your messages. They are so kind and thoughtful. We appreciate your encouragement and prayers so much. We are heartbroken about our loss, but we are steadfast in our determination to move forward. With your help, we'll keep the ball rolling. The Smokehouse experience is a huge collection of many memories for so many people, not only just our immediate family, but our extended and adopted family of employees, customers, guests, and music artists for over 60 years. The restaurant building is a total loss, nothing but rubble and ashes on the ground now, but thankfully the tenacious firefighters would not give up, and they were able to save the lodge and cabins, which without a doubt would have burned down without their determined efforts to stop it. Our hearts and appreciation go out to all the many people who fought the fire, to those who assisted those in need, to those who passed out beverages and food, and all those who came to support our family and employees in this time of need. We know there were some injuries suffered by firefighters and other volunteers who helped, and we extend our gratitude and prayers to all of them and pray that their injuries will soon heal. Thanks to our quick thinking, dedicated employees in the restaurant and lodge, no guests or employees were hurt or injured, and we are so thankful for that. We're hoping to get power, water, telephone, and gas restored by today and back up in business tomorrow night at the lodge and cabins. Anyone with questions about lodging reservations, please use this email contact. That's lodge@thesmokehouse.com. Thank you so much for your prayers, support, and assistance, JD, end quote. For several years here at Channel 6, we ran a show produced from the Smokehouse, showing performances of many singers and songwriters. Everyone from the P-Head television family wishes JD, his family, and employees a swift recovery, and we're glad no one was hurt. We'll be right back in a moment after these messages.
Hi, I'm Terry Stroop with Stroop's Accurate Refrigeration, your #1 hometown HVAC company. We offer dependable and reliable service on all your HVAC equipment. We also offer high-efficiency trained cooling units. Call us for your cooling needs. Your comfort is what we do.
It's summer, call Stroop.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Hello, I'm Ray Noas, and as Mayor of Tullahoma, I'm strongly urging all of our citizens to follow the guidelines of CDC in helping control this virus, COVID-19. But I'm especially advising all of us to wear face coverings or masks anytime we're in a social setting where we can't maintain a distance of 6 feet or more. So be kind to your neighbor. Wear your mask.
Welcome back. On Tuesday, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee took away local municipalities' freedom to regulate mask mandates, despite CDC guidelines that say for the state to reach herd immunity, somewhere between 70 and 85% of the population needs to be immunized. According to the state's website, 24.7% of its population is fully vaccinated, and 34.4% have had at least one shot. Governor Lee said, quote, "We never had a statewide mask mandate, and I'm removing the authority from local officials to issue mask requirements. This is about trusting Tennesseans, using the tools we have at our disposal to move on from crisis management and back to life and back to business. It's time for celebrations, weddings, and conventions, and concerts, and parades, and proms, and everything in between to happen without limits on gathering sizes or arbitrary restrictions for those events," end quote. In the 2 weeks ended Sunday, Tennessee reported almost 21,000 new cases, more than 1,000 a day, and about 150 COVID-19 deaths were reported during that time. At Tuesday's Tullahoma Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, Mayor Noas gave a proclamation of fair housing to area realtors.
Whereas April the 11th, 2020 marked the 2020, I don't know if that's correct, but 20 marked the 53rd anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing for all those who live in the United States. And whereas fair housing is a positive community good, and whereas fair housing prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, financial status, or national origin. And whereas fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of members of the National Association of Realtors and the Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors, and it's critical to the ability of all real estate professionals to serve their clients, customers, and communities. So now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Ray Noas, Mayor of the City of Tullahoma, by virtue vested in me in the do proclaim the month of April 2021 as Fair Housing Month in Tullahoma, and establish Tullahoma as an inclusive community committed to fair housing and to promote and appropriate activities by private and public entities intended to advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and protect and prospective residents of Tullahoma. So with that, Mr. Prosser, if you'd come forward, I'd like to present this to you.
Charles. 2021 is the 53rd anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. And this is like my 10th year, I think, being here to accept the proclamation. I've invited all the realtors, but none of them were available. I guess they're out doing fair housing. Last year, of course, we had COVID, so I had to pick it up from the mayor directly. And but it's something that we really believe in, and something that we'll be coming to you with every April. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
More news is coming up in just a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. It's a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Many Tennesseans are wondering, do masks really fight the spread of COVID-19? A recent study shows they do. 2 hairstylists worked for several days with respiratory symptoms and serviced patrons in close contact. Both stylists later tested positive for COVID-19. 139 clients were exposed to coronavirus after being in direct contact. Both stylists and their customers opted to wear masks. No COVID-19 symptoms were identified among the 139 exposed clients or their secondary contacts. Out of the clients that were tested, all tested negative for COVID-19. Face it, masks fight COVID-19.
Welcome back. News leaders John Gray recently spoke with Mary Samaniego, Tullahoma's new senior planner in the Community Development Department, about the plan being devised for Tullahoma.
I have a lady who has come to our town recently, semi-recently, Mary Samaniego, and she is our head planner here in Tullahoma. And good morning, Mary, and thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
Give us a little bit of Mary history. How long have you been here? Where'd you come from, and what you doing?
I have been here since November 30th. I came from Tampa, Florida, where I worked as a city planner in that area for about 12 years. Prior to that, I was a city planner and I worked in Kodiak, Alaska. And then prior to that, I am from and worked in Indiana. In different jurisdictions in Indiana, yeah.
And your creds are you're educated in city planning?
Yes, I have a undergrad in clinical psychology and then a master's degree in small town planning.
Very good, very good. And do you like being in Tullahoma?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, it's a good little place, and we're proud of it, and we're glad to have someone of your caliber to come here and help us maintain and recreate our little village here that we all call home in a proper way, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're in the process, Mary, of growth, and we need to know how to grow, where to grow, and to do this, we're putting together a comprehensive growth plan. And that is a complicated thing to do. You are very, very involved. Are you in charge of that, basically?
Yes, it's facilitated through the Planning Commission, for which I'm the staff person.
Okay.
So yes.
So will you give us a little explanation? I know it was brought before the board this last board meeting, and it was tried to be tabled, and there was some confusion about what was to be involved and what we were going to be paying for.
Right.
And would you give us as citizens, because we're the, our tax dollars are what makes these things happen.
Exactly.
And we need to plan.
To start off with, a comprehensive plan is a guiding document that is adopted through the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that regulates, and it doesn't regulate, but it guides future development for a 20-year period. So, and then your other regulations are built off it, being your zoning code and your subdivision controlled, and then plans and projects for infrastructure. Tullahoma currently has a comprehensive plan. There's been comprehensive planning and zoning here since the late 50s. So it's not a new concept, but the way that we're doing it now, we're actually hiring a consultant to come in and facilitate the process for us of experts. I like to explain a comprehensive plan, kind of an analogy or a metaphor. It's like if you're building a house.
Mm-hmm.
You get a piece of paper and you draw out how you want the windows, how many stories, what kind of shingles you want. That's kind of like your comprehensive plan, because then that's a guiding document for the blueprints of the house that comes in, how it's actually going to be built. So your plumbing system, your electrical system, your roof, your foundation, those are kind of the different elements of the plan, being like your electrical system would be your road system. And then you've got your school system and your parks department and water and sewer and where your commercial development's going to go, where your residential development goes. It all has to work together. So
and your actual electrical system.
Right.
There has to be power where you're going to build something.
So if you were building a house and each contractor was working on their own element, the electrician's doing something over here and the plumber is doing something over here and nobody's talking to each other, by the end, sometimes you might have a house that doesn't make sense, but if everybody's following the general layout, all the elements come together. So when you go to do projects, it's clear that the goal that you're working towards, as opposed to doing separate projects independently, like a road project here or a parks project here. You can see through the comprehensive plan, there's kind of an order and steps.
Right.
Of what projects are supposed to do when. And the main and kind of the exciting part of comprehensive planning and the process we're about to start is it all comes from the public. So we go out to the public, not just the politicians and not just staff. We go out to the public saying, what do you want your community to look like?
And we'll be right back in a moment with more of John's interview with Mary right after these commercial messages.
Now open in Tullahoma, Parkview Senior Living, an affordable, luxurious retirement community that active seniors love to call home. We encourage a healthy, independent lifestyle with few restrictions. Abundant amenities mean you live burden-free in a beautiful, safe home with other like-minded seniors. Still enjoy friends and family, along with your supplemental healthcare needs. See for yourself how wonderful retirement can be. Tour Parkview Senior Living today.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
This is the face of a fighter.
I'm fighting to keep Tennesseans working.
I'm fighting for time with my friends.
I'm fighting for football on Saturday.
I'm fighting to see my students back in the classroom.
We're fighting for our small business.
I'm fighting to keep my family safe.
Whatever you're fighting for, it's time for all Tennesseans to fight back. Until there's a vaccine for COVID-19, this is the face of a fighter. Face it, masks fight COVID-19.
Welcome back. In this portion of John Gray's interview with Tullahoma's Senior Planner of Community Development, they discuss bringing in the community for input and how the plan will be implemented.
The other night they were talking about funding for this thing, and people were questioning, well, why is this costing this and why is this costing that? And I know one of the things that was brought up was to do a survey on what type of housing we need in Tullahoma to satisfy the type of people who come in here to live here. And those kind of things are extra and they cost extra money, but we are sort of landlocked, right? We don't have a whole lot of property inside the city limits of Tullahoma.
That's vacant?
That's vacant.
Right.
To build on.
Right.
So we have to be very purposeful in how we use what we have. And that's why a lot of these questions are being asked of this company, right?
Correct.
And what are some of those questions?
Some of the questions that we'll be asking that you touched on was housing. There's been a lot of talk, especially since I've been here. There seems to be a gap in kind of middle class income, people just moving to the community where they're not ready to buy a house, but they need a place to stay. As an example, myself, when I moved here, I needed a place to live, obviously.
Right.
I'm not going to move here and buy a house right away. I literally could not find an apartment to rent, regardless of how much money I had. There was zero availability to the point where I had to stay in a hotel for almost a month. So there seems to be a gap in the market of where higher end condos or apartments, there appears to be a need for it. But you don't want to make you don't want to set aside land for an apartment complex or condo development or something kind of based on speculation. You want to have experts study it. Is it a perceived demand, or are there actual data and numbers to back it up?
Right.
So that's one of the elements that the consultants are going to be working on. The consultants that we are hiring, it's the Walker Collaborative, and they have 3 sub-consultants, one of which is an economic development analyst. And he'll be looking at the industries that we have been trying to attract into the community through TAEDC, kind of looking at that, how much anticipated growth those industries would bring in and where the land could be made available for them.
Right.
And if we could make those properties what is called shovel ready.
How do we get information from all the groups of people in Tullahoma to know exactly what they want to see?
Right.
And how do we get them to a meeting? Because it's not always easy to get people.
It's going to be a challenge, but I think we're up for it, to contact all those populations and kind of all those different kind of worldviews of what they think their town should be, and weaving those together. Well, to try to, I think, importantly, bring all those populations together to have one common vision that everybody can agree to. When we wrote the request for proposal to hire consultants to the comprehensive plan, that they had to include in our comprehensive plan a implementation schedule. So at the end of the comprehensive plan, with all the goals and objectives and the maps of how all the development is supposed to occur, there'll be a large table in the back that says, okay, when is each project supposed to be completed, who's the responsible party, and what is the funding source?
Right.
So make sure that it's actually, because that's the important part, not to get the paper book done. Okay, it's to actually get it completed and get the improvements in place. So another part of the plan that we've talked about with the consultant is to make sure it's an implementable plan.
Right.
In a 5-0 vote during an emergency call meeting Tuesday, April 27th, the Coffee County Board of Education rescinded the county school mask mandate. Board member Robert Gilley spoke to the audience and said, quote, "I was not on the board in August of 2020. I did not vote for this. However, when you are in this position, you are worrying about every single student and every single employee. At that time, there are reasons that some would probably vote for things of this nature. I don't know what I would have done at that time," end quote. Gilley said that grilling the board and school administration is not the way to handle the situation, and at this time he personally believes that it's time to move on, adding the board has the best interest of the students at heart. Board member Frida Jones said that if the mandate saved one child, it was worth it, and was all for following the people in the know, the science, and following the advice they provide us. She said the mandate was not to punish anyone, but to keep people from dying. Board member Pat Barton said the board was following information from the CDC when it passed the mandate. He told a heartfelt story of carrying the burden from his days as a junior high assistant principal of a student who died after complaining of severe head pain. Barton had kept an eye on the girl until her father arrived, but when Barton told the man his daughter needed to be taken to the emergency room, he said the family didn't have the money. She passed away that day about 5 o'clock. He said that now the governor's executive order limiting local government's authority to mandate mask use has taken the burden of someone dying or having long-term illnesses away from the board. The board paused the emergency called meeting to move into an executive session with board attorney Chuck Cagle. The board posted the agenda to social media about 3 p.m. The executive session was added immediately prior to the meeting and approved by the board. Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up next.
Now open in Tullahoma, Parkview Senior Living, an affordable, luxurious retirement community that active seniors love to call home. We encourage a healthy, independent lifestyle with few restrictions. Abundant amenities mean you live burden-free in a beautiful, safe home with other like-minded seniors. Still enjoy friends and family, along with your supplemental healthcare needs. See for yourself how wonderful retirement can be. Tour Parkview Senior Living today.
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Tullahoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior Paints. You can be the paint doctor too when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Tullahoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. The record high was in 1942 at 88 degrees. The record low was in 1928 at 30 degrees. Average high on this day is 73, and the average low is 50. Thunderstorms likely in the forecast for tonight with a low of 53. Mostly sunny weather expected on Friday with a high of 73 and a low of 46. And sunny weather in the forecast again for Saturday with a high of 76 and a low of 53. And that's our newsletter report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for News Leader on 6. You have a good evening.